They said, yeah, all the guys on the border up there that were from Mongolia and all those places.
Vladivostok.
Yeah, all the guys from the east. Opposite people were on the other side. Because they didn't want anybody going over the fence, they couldn't speak the language. So we returned, basically. You know.
Tricky, right?
So we had to keep it inside.
Yeah. Well, it was. You know, he's been living in one so many refugees. Then I get some rest. Keep running down DMZ 3 or 4 days.
Saw another guy looking at me, and he was looking through a rifle scope. I'll go back inside.
Yeah, I have. It's on their side. It's on there. The guy said. Had coke about it. He said, walk around the table. Walk around the table.
It's a guy that didn't get vaccinated.
Yeah. But they didn't have passports. I have good security. You want to wait recently or was that early?
That was back during the summer. My daughter, I mean, she just got it during the holidays, and I think she had Omicron. She had like a cold. Feels like a cold. I had to get a whole bunch of
It can be rough. We've been fortunate. We're back. I think we were shot. Old,
Since I'm giving the presentation today, do I get the charge?
I'm stuck off early. Yeah, I got 12 to 2. But if I get out there in the truck, like, I'll be right back. That's one of these I'm gonna do. Just take it out. Sure, not. Wait.
That's a short. All right, we're small but mighty in here today. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville. Great to see all the smiling faces out there. We've got a big crowd on Zoom today. Obviously, with the new wave of COVID going on, we got some folks being safe out there, so that's great. Appreciate everybody that was able to make it today. I was going to get us kicked off with a song. Here we go.
Okay, this is an old blues song. It's kind of a fast song that CCR did a few years ago called Cotton Fields at Home. When I was a little bitty baby, my mama would rock me. Oh, cotton fields at home. Down in Louisiana, 12 miles from Texas. Oh, cotton fields at home. Cotton became very much cotton. Oh, cotton fields at home. It was down in Louisiana, just about a mile from Texas. Oh, cotton fields at home. When I was a little baby, oh, cotton fields at home. It was down in Louisiana, just about a mile from Texas. It been old, cotton fields at home. It was hot, it was, it can't be, it was hot. It been old, cotton fields at home.
All right, Joe begins. Lead us in the first, please.
Raise the flag, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Occasion few miles. We have a policy tonight, like this year, like voting means self service of myself, our lifetime. We ask you to be with us this year, give us a good year, give everybody good health. We pray for all of our men and women in uniform to protect our freedom. We pray for our missionaries. We pray for our first responders. Give us a good day and give us a good year in your name, for we ask it all. Amen.
Right. Next meeting, we'll start just 1 or 2 minutes here. Get going.
Forget that fell in my pocket. Put the whole thing.
Arctic around. I like Robert study Arctic.
When we said the pledge. What's that?
Oh.
I just haven't been told.
Well, you can.
Because it's so cold. Fluids and planet. Breeze.
yeah.
Doesn't have that problem.
Very French. That's why.
Oh, yeah?
They do okay.
They went on a bus tour.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the bus.
Yeah.
They did okay. They were back to the.
I did that last year. That's a- Together, you know.
South of it. They're all ones that haven't been.
All right, gang. Thanks for being here, everybody. Today, we've got an interesting meeting. We're going to do a club update for y'all. We are going to try to cram as much in as we can during this meeting to give you as much insights on membership, finances, foundation, our programs. We just thought that'd be a good thing to do to start this year off and make sure everybody's aware of who we are and what we're doing and where we're going right now. So I'll be back and forth between driving the computer and up here, as we do have some board members be coming up giving their presentations and some folks online as well. So bear with us a little bit on the technical side today. This, if you're not aware, is your board that's up in front of you right now. All 16 of these folks work hard every single week to keep the club moving forward. And, you know, as president, you definitely find out all the different pieces that happen behind the scenes to make this work. And there's definitely a lot more than you realize. So these are great people working hard to keep this club moving forward. And I appreciate each and every one of them. Upcoming presentations, we're finalizing the dates. I think we've got the UAH president booked for next week. So we'll send those dates out to y'all. And then Wellstone, who's going to be giving us a mental health update for North Alabama the week after that. These are other folks that we're in conversations with right now to get them scheduled. And if you have any folks you think would be a great topic, number one, and a good presenter, please let us know. We're happy to continue to reach out to other folks and find great speakers that you're going to appreciate and want to take time out of your busy day to come listen to. I think that's really important. All right, quick RILA update on behalf of Beth. We've got 7 participants that will have scholarships and go to RILA. So good job, everybody, getting those applications in. We had 8 slots. We filled 7, which is great. I think the year before, I'm not sure we filled any. So this was awesome to get 7 filled and to sponsor those folks. So we're excited about that. That's coming up here. Looks like beginning of February. Okay, we're gonna just jump right in. I know Melissa's on Zoom. Melissa, I'm not sure how much you want to report on this, but these are the basic numbers that she keeps track of for us as the secretary. Kind of gives you an overview of our club membership right now. We've got 99 total members, 77 in regular active status, 7 active in R85, which I had to ask what R85 is, but that's a special rule of age and number of years in Rotary hitting 85. So we've got a few of those folks in the club as well. We got 9 active members that are on leave of absence. So as you may know, that as a member, you can take a leave of absence if you need to. I think, which Bob Darnell just went on leave of absence because he's doing one of his 6-month cruise around the world trips. And the way that typically works is if you ask for leave of absence at the beginning of the year, the board approves that slate of leave of absences at the beginning of each year. And if you start at the beginning of the year on leave of absence, you're assessed a $175 fee for the year. So that covers all of our district dues, our Rotary International dues, and the costs that we have maintaining you as a member, but then you're not assessed any other dues for the rest of the year until you come back to active status. If you've been on active status starting the year, and you've already paid 1/4 of dues, and you've already paid your $100 foundation contribution for the year, you go on leave of absence, you're not charged anything else for the remainder of the year. So that's how the leave of absence works. And then we do have 6 honorary members of our club that will remain honorary members. So far this year, and this is going back to a little bit in June, because Tom, I think that's when you were brought on board was June. So we're going into last year a little bit on the Rotary year, but we have 7 gains of new members. All of those folks have been fantastic new members and getting active and engaged and participating and serving already. So that's been fantastic. We had 13 losses over that time. Most of those folks were losses that weren't active or participating anyway, and with COVID and everything going on, they decided it was best for them to go ahead and resign. We've got 2 more applications in process right now. So that's kind of a quick update on our membership. Melissa, I don't know if you're on or unmuted, if you had any other insights or feedback you wanted to add. Melissa's been doing a great job tracking these numbers for us as our secretary.
Thank you. I think you've explained pretty well all the details. We do have constant changing, but everybody understands that. So I'm happy with these numbers.
We are too. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate you. All right. Next is we have a new membership option that the board approved at the last board meeting. Okay. What we're trying to do is 2 things. One, we're trying to drive new members where the cost of membership has been prohibitive to us bringing in new members. That's been 9 out of 10 people that start the process and don't finish. It's been the club dues. Just so you guys are aware, club dues are at $175 a quarter right now. And we plan on maintaining that. It was previously $240 a quarter before COVID. We lowered it to $175 during COVID because our biggest cost was food, right? So if we're not serving the food, it reduces our expenses quite a bit. So what we wanted to do is 2 things: have a new membership option that was a lot more reduced on the quarterly dues. So those folks that was prohibitive for them to come in might come in anyway. And some of those folks that were paying those quarterly dues and not being able to make any of the meetings felt like I'm paying money and I can't participate. And so that's a lot of those 13 losses that we had. So we approved a flex membership option, which basically is full membership as a Rotarian, participate in the board, participate in all the events, anything that you'd like to, but meals and food at social events are not included for those dues. Okay, so if you do attend the meeting and you eat lunch, there will be a charge for that. And those social events like the Christmas party, which are waived for full paying members, you would pay to attend those events as well. Okay, it's $50 as those quarterly dues. They still will be assessed the $100 annual contribution to the foundation. And they still will be included in the reach out for all the campaigns that we do throughout the year, whether it be Every Rotarian Every Year, Polio Plus, Paul Harris Fellows, and so on and so forth. So that's an opportunity. I mean, I know we lost a couple, Kim and Andy Dolan, because they couldn't participate in meetings and the dues that were prohibitive for them. And we think this could have been an option to keep them as part of the club and they were very engaged in service projects. So this is a new flex membership option that we're going to try out. We have the right as the board to change this, to change the dollar amount, to get rid of it or do something different, depending on how this works. I'm just going to pause there. If there's any questions throughout today on any of the presentations, feel free to raise your hand and we'll keep rolling through. All right, treasurer report. Marcia and Ed are on one of their journeys right now. Hope they're having fun and being safe, especially with the weather that we've been having lately. But here, this was the last report we had for November. So this is a snapshot of our club finances. We're getting a snapshot of November of this year versus November of last year. So you can see what we have in our operating account right now as a club. We have a general fund, which we keep as a reserve fund. That reserve fund has very strict parameters around it about how and when it can be used and how much can be used at any given time, and what level it needs to be maintained at. And if it drops below a certain level, then we have to get it back up to a certain level by the end of the year. It's been tapped into once since I've been on the board for the past 6 years or so. So the other is the capital account. So the capital account was something that was built many years ago. Before I even joined the club, that capital account had been built. And one of the things that we've talked about as a leadership team is finding the right opportunity to move that capital account to the foundation. We think that would be the right spot for it. Those funds could be used for matching funds and for fundraisers or a big project that the foundation may want to do. So we're in conversations about how and when that gets transferred, what parameters would be around the use of those funds. But we just felt from an operating perspective, it doesn't make sense sitting on our balance sheet on the club side, not being used, when those funds could be used to do some good in the community. Billy.
What was the purpose of the capital account?
That exact purpose. So I don't know if I can answer that clearly because it was built before I was here. But from talking to leadership when I came on board and I was treasurer for a while with Gray, it really was being built for a big project. Right, they were looking to do a marquee project, like you have the Kiwanis Sportsplex out here, and you know it's really well branded as Kiwanis, and wanting to do something at that level for Rotary, and whether that's in conjunction with other Rotary clubs or another nonprofit. But it seems to me, and if anyone knows more about it, please correct me. But it was being built for a large project to be a marquee name branding thing for Rotary.
It was used for Rotary Club.
So some of those funds were used for the Rotary clock? Okay.
We didn't have to use much of it because we sold rigs.
Right. So something like that is exactly, but it doesn't make sense. We've been talking about as a leadership team for a couple of years that this continues to sit on our balance sheet at the club. That we should move it to the foundation and look for those types of projects to do moving forward. So probably the next year or so we'll make that happen. Okay. On that, I'm going to bring up just our P&L for the year. So let's take a look at that. You can see what our income has been from and what some of our expenses have been. We'll go over that in a second. Stop sharing. Right. All right, so this is our P&L through December of this year. You can see our income categories here, mostly it's membership dues. But there's leave of absence. We do have spousal dues that are reduced if your spouse is a member of the club. Late payment fees. I don't know who those late payers are, but they're adding up for $400, so we'll take it. And then new member induction fees of $100 a person. We have guest fees, visiting Rotarian fees. Most of that's probably Bob. Every Wednesday meeting, he pays for that. We do get cash back rewards on the credit card. We try to put as many expenses on the credit card and get cash back credit for that as we can. and very little interest rate that's out there at our money market. We're making some funds there. We have semi-annual dues that we pay to Rotary International, so we pay June through December based on our membership, and then we pay January through June based upon our membership on January 1st. So we'll have another payment there, and then we also have district dues as well. Our biggest expenses are weekly meals. That's our largest expense as a club. We've been paying on average right now for 35 people for the meetings, which is good. Before COVID, we were paying for about 70 a week. It was kind of our average there. So that cost is a lot more than what you're seeing here for that many. And then most of the rest of this is just operating supplies. We do have the warehouse where we store items for Uganda. And every couple of years ship that out. So we have a monthly expense for that. A couple of these categories like robotics here, there's been a few programs that have always been supported by the club, and rightfully so. They do a great job for us. What we're trying to do this year is move some of those expenses over to the foundation. So example is robotics. We typically support robotics about $2,000 a year, which is pretty cheap versus all the other expenses that group has. But we're moving that over to the foundation and allowing our fundraising to go ahead and support that. So again, we keep our expenses, our operating expenses as a club low and make sure our dues remain low. It's kind of the point around that. And then other kind of just, we do subsidize taking credit cards. We do have income taxes we pay for, but right now we're still, healthy profit as a club so far for the year. Any questions for finances?
Our average meeting cost per person?
$17, I believe, per person, and we're paying for about 35 people right now each week.
Are we paying a separate cost for the roof? Or
No.
they throw that
No,
in?
so I mean, the deal we get here is pretty good.
That's what I
You
thought.
can nitpick the price per person, but we get all this and the room and the people and the support.
And support people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a deal of the century. So Redstone takes really good care of us, and we've got a great spot. And we've looked at it for many years, especially when we're paying for 70 people a week at $17 a pop. Is there another option? And so that's been explored quite a bit. But when you put it all together, I mean, we're not going to find anything better than this.
How do you find better food?
Sorry, Harry, is
Are
that?
the accounts held at Redstone?
No, they're not. They're not. We're gonna have different banks, yeah. All right. All right, so we're gonna have to do this stop share. Share's gonna see if I can do it. I'm gonna try here.
You're getting close.
All right,
Chris,
so I came up.
Chris, a
Yes, sir.
comment about the question about who have accounts at Redstone. Gray can expand on that just a little bit. Did you hear the question, Gray?
I did.
Why don't you share with them what you told me the other day, which I thought was good.
We did a competitive assessment back when I was treasurer for the club, and it was done afterwards for the foundation. And Redstone declined to participate in that because they didn't want any observed conflict of potential or observed conflict.
That's what I think is.
Because they have so many members.
Joe Newberry
Part
and
of our
Mary
club.
Grace.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's an awesome team they've got working for, so.
Yeah, I don't know what I do. I was just telling Kevin, I'll tell you that much for sure. All right, any questions about finances, treasury report? And I can't tell, I mean, Gray was a fantastic treasurer and continues to be so for the foundation. But Marcia has been a godsend to me as president and done a fabulous job as treasurer. So make sure you tell her thank you so we can keep her in that position as long as we can. Okay. That is a big coup for us, for sure. All right, Todd, did you want to come up? We got a little grant and Uganda update.
First update on the our district grants. Here several weeks ago, we presented a check to HEALS for them to purchase computers for their clinics. They're hoping to use some of their old computers that they're not going to use, laptops, and we could possibly send those to Uganda. The report for that district grant will be submitted in May. And so when that's done, if you want to see it, you can go on tonight, you can see that report. The Sam Awori School in Uganda, just to give you a quick update, Sam Mawori was a potential international president for Rotary, and he passed away before he took term. And several districts, over 20 districts, got together and decided they would support building a school in Uganda. It's called the Sam Mawori School, and we got a global grant to build that school. And part of that process is that we support a host club in Uganda, and there's been some difficulty working with that host club on technical stuff, and a lot of it has to do with just different belief systems, different ways they believe things should be done. But Billy Warner, with his successful trip to Uganda, he's going to take the lead on this and help push this global grant through its second half. So with that, Sam Memorial School, it will open with the new head teacher in January with 100 students. And then the scholarship program, this last board meeting, our board meeting has agreed that we will continue our scholarship program for the next year. And so our members should start to hear whether you want to continue providing your scholarship to donation. If you do, you contact myself or Roger, and you'll see email and you can reply to that also. 22 of our sponsored students are communicating by email, so that is a great achievement. You know, if you're thinking Uganda, maybe they would email on that. So that's wonderful. And then 10 of our students are going back to college, and they start back in February. And then primary and high school students will start. Any questions for district grant, global grant, internet? Thank you.
Billy, thank you for picking up the leadership on the program management. We figured with his passion for Uganda and his program management skills, he'll bulldog this to the end. I know he will. So he's got that look in his eye like this is going to happen. And so thank you. And he's the one that volunteered to do that. We didn't have to ask him. He took the leadership on that. So thanks again, Billy. Really appreciate that. All right. Here's a ramp build so far for the year. Cliff, I don't know if you want to say a few words or not, but we've had a very successful year so far. Since July, the 5 ramps built, 190 linear feet of wood. A ramp was built. We did 6 home winterizations.
Yeah, we did a super job with the help of everybody here in the Rotary, Greater Huntsville Rotary Club, to make it all happen. Because Pete and I could get out there. We could be the let's do this, let's get this done. But I need the workers and the volunteers to come out to do that every time that we have a ramp built. And so far, we have changed lives of 6 lives right now, 5 lives right now. And one was Harry. We did a small crew the mid-January, December rather. Harry, as you may know, is in the Regency right now in the rehab facility over there. But one of the criteria, Carolyn called me and said, to get him home, I'm going to need a ramp put in the garage to get him up the 3 stairs to get into the kitchen. They do live in a 1-level floor, house, so there's no problem with that. So we had about 9 members come over there and help me put that together real quick, and it was all inside, so the wind blowing outside didn't hurt us, except for Ed Stone, who was the sawman that day, and he was outside in the elements. But you know, hey, you jump up for Rotary. We're going to continue our progress. We're trying to do another ramp. Will be the 22nd of this January. We've already selected the ramp build. It will be with Miss Brown. She happens to live. Everybody knows where the old Grissom High School was out there by Bailey Cove. It's in the subdivision, basically right behind that, and it's about a 35-foot ramp. Normal L coming right off the front step, so we got to put 1 threshold and then it goes right out. Good part about it is that there'll be a lot of TAPCONs again because we're building on top of a 42-inch sidewalk. So we'll have to do a couple of pounding on one side, but the rest will be. So calendars, I'll get a list going out and everything. 22 January, the 19th of January, we'll do the pre-build at the warehouse. load it, and I'll be coordinating with Thornton Stanley for the truck and to move it on the 20th and, or excuse me, 21st, and then the 22nd will be there to build. I am looking right now that we may do one in February. There's a small one that's been sitting on the list. It's a little 26 footer, and it's just nobody's pulling that, and we may just pull that one for February, not sure yet. So the ramp builds is out there. We're changing those lives. But the main thing, and my message to each one of you is thank you for stepping up and being a volunteer on these ramp projects. Could not do it without you, and we really appreciate that. So sign up for the 22nd. Thank you.
Thanks, Cliff. Cliff, we definitely appreciate your leadership this year, especially when Pete was down. Without you and Pete doing what you do, this would not come together the way it does. And that's why you get the volunteers you get. So thank you for that.
We got a lot of people here that can do this,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. I'm gonna have little Reclass come up and give us a little update on our Scouts partnership. We've already won an award from them, so that's great. So go on up.
Okay, I'll do a clip desk because there's not many of us here. I'll stand right here.
Okay, you're being-
We did win an award. It was picked up by the Redstone Rocket for our, we're coming up to 3 years cleaning up the Veterans Memorial. It was a youth service award for our club. A great honor to have it. The 4 troops that we sponsor are PACs and crews. We've got a all-girls troop, and I wanted to kind of clarify that. There's been some confusion sometimes. They're not boy co-ed. They're all girls troop, all boys troop. We sponsor a PAC 94, which has about 24 kids, 12 leaders. We do a all girls troop, which has 12 girls and 17 leaders. The boys troop is up to 33 scouts and 47 leaders. And then we have a crew. And the crew is for older scouts, that is both boys and girls. It's kind of like the Explorer crew. We chartered with them this year, again, for 1 full year. They do a lot. We want to work more with the Rotary Club and do more service projects out there. So if you have anything that we can plan months ahead of time that we have coming down the pike, we can get all of them involved. We can get one of them involved. Thank you all for everything you do with the Veterans Memorial. Thank you for helping the scout crews and troops and PACs out. The PAC is the Cub Scout PAC is a little thin this year because of COVID. We have to go into the schools and recruit. If anybody, I know Cliff, I know Art, everybody's been a scoutmaster, a lot of scouting in this club here. It is just like Rotary. It takes a lot of people to make it successful. And we'd like to do more with the Rotary Club and get more involved in projects. So if you have any projects that need to be done, as long as they're not mowing your personal lawn, okay? It has to be a civic project. We'd love to have you. So again, thanks for everybody on Zoom. Mr. Warner.
So we're the sponsoring organizations for all 4 of those?
We are. We're the charter organization.
Where do they meet at?
Good question. They meet in Tony United Methodist Church off of Old Railroad Bed once a week. That's for the 3. And then the crew, the older kids, meet at the new school, which is the Alabama School for Cyber Technology and Engineering, which will then start meeting over here when it opens in August. The Tony United Methodist draws a lot of mix.
Yeah.
You get poor scouts, but my daughter, to give you an example, and I'll just kind of go make it brief, but she probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to rappel, to climb, to cave, to whitewater raft. All these things they do once a month, an adventure. So it's great fun. It gives the kids a lot of opportunity. They're learning leadership. The program is entirely youth-led. We just kind of supervise. The senior patrol leaders do that. The only one that's not youth-led, sorry, is the PAC. The adults lead the Cub Scouts. But the rest of it is pretty interesting. And Rotary and Scouts have, there's 1,300 clubs across the country that sponsor Scout troops, and we're one of them. We're one of 2 in Alabama. And it's a great honor, and I thank all of you all, Chris and the board, and all of you all out there in Zoom for helping support that. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your leadership on that, Reed. Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask old Jim French to come up here. He's done a fantastic job with a number of other members in the club with our robotics team. So he's going to give us an update on that. Here's your clicker, Jim.
You get clicker? I need your slide.
If you've ever seen the complete works of William Shakespeare in 30 minutes, this is going to be a version. This is the overview. We are continuing our support of robotics in the Title I schools, which is Jemison, which we've been in for several years now. And this year we've added McNair Junior High, which is on the same campus as Jemison. So we got the McNair club started. We're cranking up the Jemison one. And when I say cranking up, we lost a whole school year because during the 2021 school year, we couldn't meet with the kids at all. So things had to be reconstituted, but they are. And one of the more important things I think here is that this year, we've been able to establish a formal relationship with the foundation. Why that's important is that a robotics club is able to get support from the community, grants, money. But really to ask people to give money, you need to be a certified nonprofit. Well, these clubs are too young to have done that, but the foundation is. So with the foundation's board, we've established that relationship. So we can now go and beg for money to support Jemison and McNair's robotics, but the money gets given to our foundation for the benefit of those clubs. And it's all kosher and above board, which is really a good thing. And what did I do? I should not have done that.
Who's in charge of the robotics?
I just beg for money. That's what I do. The lady at McNair who runs their STEM program is called Mrs. Sanderson, and we went to her last summer. When I say we, that was Joan Keever, who is the coach of the Jemison Club. And that relationship, Joan is a retired teacher, retired science teacher. She knows the school system and was very helpful in getting that going. So that's gotten established. Mrs. Sanderson has been really good in providing the umbrella for that. But I don't know if you're aware of this, but students in junior high school, they're teenagers. They're young teenagers. But through the foundation, as Chris alluded to, we've been able to start that out with a couple of kits, these Lego kits, which have little robots that you can program, and the kids can learn what programming is about and how to build things with their hands. So we got that going, and the foundation supported that financially. And equally important, Roger Qualls and Mooney Joshi, who is a brand new member, both stepped up to say, hey, we'll help with that. And they've been doing that regularly. One of the things that Roger suggested is to bring the junior high kids over to see the Jemison lab. And they did that. And that was pretty effective. It's Mrs. Sanderson has a unique talent to make those young teenagers stand still and pay attention, which is a great skill. So that's what they're doing. And they're listening to a presentation from the older kids in high school about the lab. I've mentioned a little bit about this. We had to get started again. Our new team is pretty small, but all of them are very active. And we've got a young lady that's part of that team, and the boys are they're learning fast and they're enthusiastic and they show up. One thing I have to mention, if you've seen them when they came here, there's a tall young man who was the team captain, his name Jason Locke. Well, Jason graduated. He was in ROTC in high school. So when he graduated, he joined the Army, went for his basic training, and now he's a reserve, and he's going to school at UAH, or about to start UAH in engineering. So he's a self-motivated boy, but I'd like to think that robotics did a little bit to help him along. And I show you this picture from the pep rally, really to point out this saint. That's John Keeler, who's the coach over there. The robotics club is doing the Rotary Club is doing a great job supporting robotics. But this lady is the spark plug. She makes it happen. She's recruiting the kids, pacing them, making everything happen. And I went with her to several events when school was getting started to demonstrate what the kids could play with. And this was a pep rally. This is your friend of mine, Jim Paul, helping the kids build a new chassis. We also went down to the Von Braun Center to an event called a STEAM Fest, which was demonstrating various parts of STEM. And then you add art to that, and you get STEAM. And we were one of 2 clubs that represented first there. And this picture over here is showing the boys working on an animation. This is a storyboard that they're doing by hand with a pencil and paper. And the animation was to illustrate safety principles for robotics lab. So we're right at the cusp of the new season for the first robotics challenge. This Saturday, we'll get a reveal over at UAH. Will show us what the game will be this year. And then the gun goes off and we go building some sort of robot. We don't know what it will look like yet. And then in March, we're going to Anderson, South Carolina, to a regional. 2 years ago, we had planned to go to a regional up near Memphis. And 3 days before packing for that, everything got canceled with COVID. So this idea of taking the kids out of town to a regional is a big deal. They're very excited. Many of them have not had a chance to see much outside of their neighborhood and high school. And so it's a big deal for them. It's also expensive. So the support of the Rotary Club and Rotary Foundation is vital to making that happen. So thank you for that. So here we go. We'll let you know how it's comes out. We're going to have a summer presentation, all of that. I think it's on the calendar for like April or something. And that's the name of my game.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate your leadership on this, and Jim Paul is a big part of it. Roger Calls, Mooney's involved with this, so it's nice to see all that participation. It's one of my favorite projects of the club is the impact that these kids have. There's no way they would have access to these type of things if it wasn't for us. So, Jim, thanks for your leadership on that. I appreciate it. Elizabeth, are you in Zoom land?
I am here.
Okay. I'll be your slide clicker, so tell me when to move the slides. The next slide will be your slide, and we'll go from there. Does that work for you?
Okay, yeah, go ahead to the next slide, if you would, please. First of all, while the foundation often works in the background, you may not hear from us every single week. We are working to and prioritizing all of the interests of the club and the programs and organizations that you want to support in the community. So behind the scenes, we're working on a lot of things. So I'll cover, give you kind of an overview and then go into more detail on a number of the projects. And that's thanks to Gray, who provided the detailed information on those. But first of all, as you're aware, we continue to support the Uganda scholarships. We, of course, support our own signature program, REAP, for additional support as well as reimbursement for purchases on behalf of students. We adopted, as Jim French said, we adopted the Robotics Club of Greater Huntsville as a signature program. So we formalized that relationship. That will help the program be able to solicit for more funds, corporate sponsorships, in addition to grants, not just local grants, but through other organizations. So we will work to support the club and wish them great success in getting the funding so that that program can continue to grow and expand, because it's already been highly successful. Of course, we help with supporting event sponsorships like boiling and bragging, and we did support it. We continue to support it, although boiling and bragging has not taken place over the last 2 years because of COVID. But supporting Children's Hospital, the critical transport unit in Birmingham, is very important, whether or not there is an event attached to it. So we continue to support that. We also supported the Women Honoring Women event in Huntsville earlier this year, which also had to be postponed because of COVID. We also work on the Rotary clock and the clocks in the clock circle. And it wasn't this year, but I believe it was in 2020. We had to undergo quite a bit of refurbishment, but we want that clock to continue running. We want the area to look very good, because that represents the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville and our gift and interest in the community. So we maintain that on an annual basis. You should have already received, every club member should have already received an email from me announcing the next round of community grants that has become available after our very successful fundraiser. And kudos to Joanne and Beth and all of those who planned and executed the Fly Me to the Moon fundraiser that we had. That was so much fun, and it was just excellently done. And because of that, we really were able to raise a great deal of funds. I'll have more details on that in a minute. So in that respect, we are now opening the community grants, and we have sent the email to everyone asking them if you know of a well-deserving 501c3 in the community that you believe would benefit from a grant award in this Rotary year from the foundation, we would love to consider that. The email contained attachments that you can send directly to that organization to complete and return to me. I have my address information on that. The deadline for submitting any grant request is February the 4th. So if you can get that out to your potential organization as quickly as possible. I've got my phone number in that information, so that if the person filling out the request has a question, I'm more than happy to do so. I've already fielded a few questions. Happy to answer any that may be there. Chris, if you could advance the slide, please. All right, now we're going to get into more details, more nitty gritty. We wanted to give you, and Gray provided this information, thank you very much. We wanted to provide you with detail on what the foundation is doing. And first of all, I thought we'd start off with the financials. Our current balance stands at $97,093.87. And you can see how that's broken down in the different accounts. But you see, we maintain a healthy checking and savings account. We always maintain funds in the REAP account and the robotics account. Our providers are Iberia Bank, and we have recently added the robotics account. So that's a new account that you're seeing on our financials. And we're also, the way we handle all of these processes, REAP and robotics account signature authority includes the Rotarians and sponsors responsible for the program. So in other words, we maintain administrative oversight of each of the programs. And this was part of the reason why we wanted to formalize the structure, for instance, with the robotics club. That will allow the club to solicit for more grants and be able to account for all of the funds that they receive, and would allow them to use our 501c3 status as a foundation. So all of this goes together to help the robotics club REAP and any other program that we adopt be able to solicit more funds. If you move forward, Chris. As I mentioned before, Fly Me to the Moon was a tremendous success. You can see that we brought in over $28,000 in fundraising. That's just excellent. I'm really thankful to everyone who participated, who sponsored, who attended to the event, and it was lots of fun. If you weren't able to be there, I encourage you to attend Derby Day because I know that will be great fun as well. But you know, because the fundraising enables our community allocations for 2022, we will give first priority for REAP and robotics, or the robotics club, but then any additional funds left over, and we have a substantial amount, will then be used to provide those community grants that we are now soliciting for. But again, we are also continuing to support our Uganda Girls Scholarships. And those we're now soliciting, or we are now going to be asking you to continue your support, and then we will provide the matching funds for that and send that to the program a little bit later in the year. It's amazing to see how each of the young ladies grow in terms of, if you happen to receive a letter from one of your sponsored students, and to see how they grow over the years, and then also the number of students we currently have in college. Think about that. When we started off, there was not one in college, but now we have over nine students, I believe is correct, in college. That's an awesome achievement. And that's thanks to all of you Rotarians for helping to sponsor those young ladies. Okay, Chris. All right, and then tax receipts will be provided to our club members for the Uganda Girl Scholarships, the annual foundation gifts, and of course the Fly Me to the Moon tickets. But be sure, double check if you've changed your email address recently, please update that in DB, because that's how it will be sent out mostly, unless you explicitly ask to have your information sent by mail. Okay. All right, and now we are looking for the prime volunteer to help us with the foundation starting for the next Rotary year, and that is for the position of treasurer. Greg Hillo has done a superb job in the time that he has served as the treasurer, but he is now moving on to the president-elect position in the next Rotary year. And there's a lot that goes on for the president-elect in the year just before they take on the presidency. So in that respect, we need to find another person who is willing and able to support or to work as treasurer for the foundation. Now, I will say, before you get scared and say, oh no, I couldn't even possibly think about that, while there are some specific and very important things that need to be maintained on a monthly basis with the foundation, it is not anywhere near as arduous as the club treasurer position. There are just a ton of details for the club. However, there are some specific duties, such as maintaining, of course, the foundation accounts, doing grant payments, foundation reports, doing invoicing. But really the main skills we're looking for is someone with light accounting skills, tax preparation, and it would be very helpful and preferable if you do have QuickBooks, if you have experience with QuickBooks, because that's what we use. But we're looking for someone who would be willing to step up and do that for us, help us continue the great job that Gray has done. And, you know, because Gray has laid and his predecessors before them, because since he has laid such a great foundation, you won't have to do a lot of rebuilding or reinventing the wheel. A lot of the processes will be in place, and you just need to maintain those. Plus, Gray is more than willing to provide you with all the training and consultation that you'll need to be successful in that position. So if you're interested in doing that, or you would like to talk more about the position, what it entails, contact me, or more preferably contact Gray, because he can give you the best answers to any of your questions. But we'd love to talk to you if you think that you might be interested in this. Okay, thank you. Is there another slide, Chris? I don't recall.
Thank you very much. It's been great to see your awesome leadership carry over from the club to the foundation, and great what you did as treasurer for the club, and now the foundation has been fantastic. And as someone who followed Gray as treasurer of the club, he has everything taken care of. You can slide right in and rock and roll. So following Gray in that position will not be too hard to do. So are there any other board members or announcements? Any board members that have anything they'd like to discuss or bring up that we missed in the presentation today? Okay, unfortunately, on a somber note, Harry passed away this week. So we gotta come up. So Carolyn seems to be doing okay under the circumstances. Both of her daughters are in town. We've offered as much support as we can. And she said she'll let us know if she needs anything. We are gonna bring up his obituary so you have a chance to take a look at that. I think services are gonna be next week. And she did want us, could we go back to the last slide one more time? She did want us to share a picture of Harry that he was proud of in his uniform. And then we had a picture, I don't know if you guys remember how much Harry was into those knives. He'd go out, deliver those knives to firefighters and police officers and do whatever he can to make a difference for them. So we had a picture of that as well. But I really enjoyed his time with the club. It was great to have here. Even the older he got, the less mobile he got, he still was a ball of fire and coming up here and cracking jokes and participating every single week. And so we'll definitely miss that. And then I think we have the obituary to share here real quick.
He also passed out nice, just like all rant bills.
Was it rant bills
I
too?
mean, people just showed up at the rant bill. He'd show up about 10:30 in the morning and then we'll start passing out.
He was going to be missed, and Carolyn's done a good job for us as assistant secretary, taking meeting minutes and staying active even during the time where Harry was sick. So very special lady and done a great job for us there. We'll just leave this up here for a second, and afterwards as well, if you want to read it, and maybe just scroll down to the bottom, I think has the information on the services. We will send this out in an email as well, so you have all this information. They're asking for donations in lieu of flowers. It looks like the services locally will be on the 13th. Am I reading that right? And then he's going to go to Mississippi for burial on the 15th. So sorry to end on a somber note, but I think it's important to share his legacy with this club. He was really proud of being a Rotarian too. Carolyn wanted to make sure you guys knew that. All right, sorry to end on that note. Any other announcements or things we need to discuss? All right, well, you guys take care of yourselves and your families. With Omicron going on out there, there's a lot going on. Hope everybody stays safe. Happy New Year to you. Let's go ahead and finish with our four-way test. Of all the things we think, say, or do, first.
Is it true? Goodwill, and better friendships.
And fourth. Thanks for being here today.
Billy, it sounded like your trip to Uganda was amazing. Well, he's got a lot of investment there. So
I didn't realize how much.
he's been working on this thing.
He's been going over it for over 20.
Over 20. Okay. I didn't remember how long.
Oh, yeah. Make sure that we got some pictures to them.
Doing some testing on some of the rigs and that kind of stuff. Cement and soil and all that to get a strength on it. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Have a good week.
You too.
Well, I'm glad.
I got something to tell you, you got something to tell me. You first. Good to see you.
Like I said.
Are you in town?